Yeah, very good morning. Okay, during the last session, we have seen spatial discrete random variables, and where we have seen binomial distribution and Poisson distribution, and at the end we have seen the geometric random variable. Okay, and we also came to know that Poisson approximation or Poisson distribution is can be seen as an approximation to binomial distribution whenever the number of independent trials are large and the probability of success in getting success in each trial is small. Okay. Now we are moving to look at the special type of continuous random variables. Among them, the first which we have already aware about, that is uniform random variable. Okay, and and I think one-dimensional uniform random variable we are already aware about. What do you mean by one-dimensional or two-dimensional? Means you have a random variable, a single random variable, and you are talking about its distribution. And if you're talking about a random vector, okay, means like pair of two random variables, let's say pair of three random variables x comma y comma z, or you have four random variables. That four random variables sitting in a pair x comma y comma z comma t is known as a random vector. Okay, so this this distribution can be extended to any dimension by looking at its definition. Okay, looking at its definition. So let us look at it. So uniform random variable. So we say a random variable x is uniformly distributed over the interval, closed interval AB. Okay, so we are talking about on a finite length interval. We are not talking about infinite length interval. That's very first. Okay, if its probability density function, if its probability density function is given by, if its probability density function is given by the following. So this the definition tells you you take any point inside this interval A to B. Okay, inside this interval A to B. Okay, that so the distance will be equally spaced from that point. Okay, so this fx of x is 1 by b minus a. It's a line. Okay, so if you plot the graph, it's single is like y equals to 1 upon b minus a. And if you look at the distance between from any point, sorted distance I'm talking about, that will be same. Okay, so and we write x follows uniform distribution over closed interval A. Okay, so as I mentioned, so you have on the xy plane, so we have this is fx of x is 1 upon b minus a is the line, and if you look at any point x and this distance I'm talking about, that is for any point it's 1 upon b minus a, means uniformly distributed. And we have also seen one example in your tutorial as well. So I think it is stated here. So before going there, so you take any part of this this interval. Okay, you take any part of this interval alpha to beta. Okay, so how do we decide the probability on this entire interval alpha to beta? That's I think that's very clear, that alpha beta is subset of AB, and what is that mean is alpha less than x less than beta, and we use the definition of continuous random variable. How do we assign these probabilities? That is nothing but integration from alpha to beta, and we are integrating the probability density function over that interval. Okay, and this is coming to this is coming one fx of x at any point is going to be 1 by b minus a and into the length of the interval beta minus alpha. And surely whenever alpha beta is the subset of AB, this is a subset of AB, that's certainly less than 1 or less than equals to 1. Sure. Okay. Right. Okay. Now let's take that example. Hopefully you have already solved in during your tutorial session or maybe at in the tutorial submission. I didn't remember. It's as a part of tutorial submission or maybe tutorial sheet. Okay, let's do it here. So buses arrive at a specified stop at a 15-minute intervals starting at 7 a.m. Okay, so that is they arrive at the bus are starting at from 7 a.m. and at every 15-minute interval the buses are coming. So from 7, 7:15, 7:30 and so on, you will find a bus at the bus stop. Okay, if a person arrives at the shop at a time that is uniformly distributed between 7 and 7:30, so you take the half an hour length of interval, okay, 0 to 30, okay, that is uniformly distributed. So you can write the its probability density function over the interval 0 to 30 minutes. Okay, by looking at the definition of uniform distribution. Then find the probability that he waits less than 5 minutes for a bus, or the second part was at least 12 minutes for a bus. Okay, so now if I try to get its solution, okay, so let us denote x as the time in minutes. Okay, let us denote the x, that time in minutes. I'm talking about the time in minutes. Past 7 a.m. that the passenger arrives at the stop. Passenger arrives at the stop. So it's already given that that past 7 a.m. the passenger will follows uniform distribution between 7 to 7:30. So that's very clear that x follows uniform distribution. So it's time in minutes. So 0 to 30, this length interval. Okay, right. Now this is closed here. Okay, now let's try to answer the part A here. So it's asking the probability that passenger arrives at the shop and he waits at less than 5 minutes for a bus. So the buses will come from 7 to 7 at 7, you know, at 7 it will come, at 7:15 and at 7:30. So there are 3 buses. Okay, so we have to find out the interval of means like time interval where this he has to wait only less than 5 minutes for a bus. So certainly 2 events are there. One is 10 less than x less than 15, means he arrives means like 7 to 7:10 to 7:15, and plus, so there are, as you can say, this is union. Another event is from you have this is 25 less than x less than 30. Okay, he waits, okay, past 7 a.m. So only 2 buses are there, so he has to wait less than 5 minutes, means it's all either fall into this interval or this interval, and both are mutually exclusive. So we are trying to identify the probability of these 2 events, union of these 2. So S equals to probability of this event plus probability of this event, and you know how to calculate that. Okay, so this is equals to probability of 10 less than X less than 15 plus probability of 25 less than X less than 30. And just now we have already seen alpha less than beta. So this is 15 minus 10 by you have 30 minus 0 and plus 30 minus 25 divided by 15 minus 30 minus 0. Okay, and that you can calculate. That's going to be 15 minus 10 is 5 and plus 5, so 10 by 30, and that is going to be 1 by 3. And I hope now you will be able to give the answer for the second part. So second part is telling at least he has to wait for 12 minutes for a bus. Means you are, so he is supposed to arrive between 7 to 7:03, okay, to catch the bus at 7:15. Okay, and another interval is from 7:15 to 7:18. So either he will arrive in this interval in between this time period or between this time period. So you have this. So you are supposed to find means x is 0 less than x less than 3, union 15 less than x less than 18. So you have these two events. Then you are trying to identify the probability of these two, and that's going to be, again, they are mutually exclusive. So that's going to be 3 by 10 plus 3 by 10. Okay, so that's 6 by 10, and that is going, 6 by 30. This is 30, 30, right? 30 minus 0, 30 minus 0. So that's going to be 6 by 30. That's going to be 1 by 5. And that's going to be 0.2. Okay, right. So, no, there is no case for wait for 0 minutes at that 7 a.m. Yes, there is no case for 7. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, now if you try to look at this the mean and variance of this uniform random variable. Okay, so I have this exercise. Let x follows uniform distribution over the closed interval AB. Then expectation of x is nothing but the midpoint of the interval, average of these 2 points. And variance of the random variable x is b minus a whole square by 12. Okay, right. So now that can be evaluated. Okay, I can finish it off. Expectation of x is equals to integration minus infinity to plus infinity x time fx of x dx. But fx of x is only non-zero between a to b. You have x time 1 upon b minus a dx. So that's going to be b square minus a square by 2 times b minus a. So you will get a plus b by 2. So similarly, you can get expectation of x square value, you can find out. And then you know how to identify variance of x is nothing but expectation of x square minus expectation of x whole square. So this part you can finish. So instead of x here, x square, x cube will come into the picture, and then you will be able to tell the answer. Okay, right. So I think that can be done as an exercise. Okay, let's consider one more example. The current in a semiconductor diode is often measured by the Shockley equation. So this is given here. Shockley equation, where V denotes the voltage across the diode, I naught is the reverse current, and A is a constant, and then I is the resulting diode current. Okay, so now it is given that what is the value of A, I naught, okay, and the distribution of V. Then you are supposed to identify what is the expected value of the resulting diode current. Okay, so it is given that if A is equals to 5, I naught equals to 10 to the power minus 6, and V follows uniform distribution over the interval 1 to 3, then you are supposed to identify what is the expected value of I. Now, if I try to give you the hint here, what is nothing but I naught time e to the power AB minus 1. So what is I naught is given is 10 to the power minus 6, e to the power 5V minus 1. Now use the sorry. Now use the fact that V follows uniform distribution over the interval 1 to 3. So this is a function of V. This is a function of some V. Now, so therefore, expectation of I is equals to, okay, is equals to, you have this is integration minus, because it's a continuous random variable, type G of V time FV A D. Okay, so this is the formula which we already know, because function of random variable. How do we have defined the expectation? This is the way in continuous. Okay, so now if you rewrite everything here, okay, so this is equals to, so you have this is integration. So FV of V is only non-zero between 1 to 3. Okay, so this is equals to integration 1 to 3. And what is G of V is nothing but 10 to the power minus 6 time e to the power minus 5V minus 1. Okay, time FV of V, that is 1 by 3 minus 1, that is 2, 1 by 2. So this is 1 by 2. Now you know how to evaluate this integral. Okay, it's very simple to evaluate. So I may give you the final answer here. That's going to be 0.3269, that you can verify. Okay, evaluate this integral and you can verify. Okay, now as I already mentioned when we talked about uniform random variable, how do we extend into 2 dimension? Okay, so in the 2 dimension, what you can talk about is, so in the 1 dimensional, what we have talked about the shortest distance. Okay, now in the 2 dimension, what we are going to assume is a region. Okay, let's say some region R. Okay, so it is an XY plane. Okay, so this is an XY plane, and this XY plane you have a region R. So how do we make a uniform distribution over the region R? Is nothing but, so again, so means you are talking about the jointly distributed X and Y. Okay, so it is jointly distributed over the region R. Okay, so we want it's uniformly distributed over the region R, means we can, so double integral, double integral over R dA, what is that? Is area of the region. Okay, so we are going to divide by the area of the region R, as simple as to make it uniformly distributed over the region R. Okay, and then in the similar fashion, you can part of the region, the probability you have the, let's say suppose A is the part of here, or you can say some R1. Okay, so the probability of R1, okay, this region is going to be happen is 1 upon area of R, double integral over R. Okay, so in a similar fashion, so let me define the jointly distributed uniform random variable. Okay, so the random vector x comma y, so I am talking about the two-dimensional, so you can extend it to the three dimension. The three dimension you will talk about triple integral means volume, okay, and so on. So the random vector x comma y is said to have a uniform distribution over the two-dimensional region R if its joint PDF is given by this. Okay, so for any point xy in R, 1 upon area of R. Okay, that will give you, so at any point if you look at in the region, okay, at any point on the region, it will be nothing but the probability is 1 upon area of R. Okay, right. So you can certainly extend it to the any part of the region now. Okay, so I hope this can be done. This is nothing but is equals to 1 or you can say this is equals to double integral, okay, over the region A dx dy. Oh, sorry, this is going to be f joint distributed joint density function dx dy. So that's nothing but area of A divided by area of R, area of the region R. Okay, right. So this is you can extend it into two-dimensional. Similarly, you can extend it to three-dimensional by subdividing. So triple integral will stand the integral, volume of the region. Okay, so you can divide by 1 upon volume of R and so on. Okay, so now let's take one example here. Suppose that this random vector is uniformly distributed over the following rectangular region. Okay, so if you have the jointly distributed uniform random variables over the rectangular region, okay, then x comma y are independent random variables. Okay, so that can be shown. Okay, so they are what will be the joint density function here. If I want to write the joint density function is nothing but for this case is nothing but fx comma y of x comma y is equals to 1 upon area of this rectangular region is A into B if x comma y belongs to R and 0 otherwise. Okay, area of the rectangle, you know how to do it. Now we want to show that x and y are independent random variable, means we can show their marginal densities. Okay, or we can talk about their joint density function or joint distribution function, and we can show that they can be written as a product of their individual densities or individual distribution functions respectively. Okay, right. So let me start with here. So let me say I'm interested in now to look at the property of joint distribution function x less than equals to x, y less than equals to y. So what it is going to be is equals to 1 upon area A into B and integration 0 to x, 0 to y, dy dx or dx dy. Okay, it is going to dy dx. Yes. How I have obtained this here is, so the steps are here. I can write here. It is going to be integration minus infinity to x minus infinity to y fx comma y of x comma y dy dx. So because y lies in the interval minus infinity to close y, minus x lies into minus infinity to close x. Now use the fact that fx of y is only non-zero for x greater than 0 and less than equals to a. Okay, and y and for y 0 less y greater than 0 and less than equals to b. So for minus infinity to 0, if you break it down, that is 0. and over that interval 0 to x or 0 to y, that is uniformly distributed just by 1 upon area of that rectangular region R. Okay, right. So now what is finally? So this right hand side is nothing but if you integrate. So this integration with respect to x, with respect to y, and then what is integration with respect to x? That's going to be x into y divided by a into b. Right now, this is nothing but the joint distribution function. Okay. Now, what about the marginal distribution functions? Means fx of x. If we apply, there's nothing but probability of x less than equals to x, and that if I want to write in terms of joint density, that's going to be x less than equals to x, y less than equals to b. So that's going to be 1 upon a into b integration 0 to x and integration 0 to b y dy dx, and just carefully substituting the values you can find. Okay, that's going to be sorry, y is not here, integration 0 to b dy. Okay, now so this integral value is b, so b will get cancelled. So what is there is 1 by a integration 0 to x dx, and that is going to be x by a. So similarly you can show that, okay, similarly one can show that the following. So similarly one can show that fy of y is equals to y upon b. So from above, what can you tell is that the joint distribution function can be written as the product of marginal distribution functions, individual. Okay, so this tells you that x and y are independent. So if you are talking about uniformly distributed random variable over the rectangular region R, then they will be independent random variables. Okay, so this is means this result can be extended to the again, for if you talk about the uniformly distributed random vector of in three dimension like x comma y comma z. Okay, and you are talking about the region R as a cube. Okay, cuboid you can say. Okay, 0 to a, 0 to b, 0 to c. Okay, then there also you can show that random variables are independent. So okay, so that region rectangular R to cube. Okay, not other regions we are talking about. Okay, right. Now the next very important continuous random variable what we are going to learn is normal random variable. Okay, so which was introduced by De Morvay in 1733. Okay, and it is due to his insight in the binomial random variable. Okay, when he tries to approximate the probabilities there, and in the case when the number of independent trials are in large numbers. So what is that large number? That is not easy to decide. Okay, that will come is like when you talk about n is more than 10 or n is more than 30 sometime. So that's n is greater than equals to 30 will tends to is a good approximation can be given by normal random variable. And we have also seen binomial random variable. One of the other good approximation is Poisson random variable. So normal random variable was naturally coming as a limiting case of binomial random variable again. So you have two approximations now for binomial random variables. One is already you have learned Poisson, another is normal. Okay, so what had happened is when you so he has done independent number of trials. Okay, and with the probability of success he has fixed, and then he is keep on increasing the number of independent trials. Okay, then what he found that if you increase Okay, then you will be obtaining, if you try to fit a curve, okay, if you try to fit a curve, okay, along the graph, that will be coming out like a bell-shaped curve. You will see soon. I have that picture with me. Okay, so this is why he has talked about the normal random variable, which essentially gives you a bell-shaped curve, and which has very nice properties associated with it. Okay, so later on later on that center limit theorem, which will come in the maybe at the end of this means like session before your in semester that first mid semester exam. Okay, that actually gives a theoretical base to the observation that many random phenomena obey this normal distribution. Okay, when you go with the large number of independent trials. Okay, so there many phenomena are there, like height of a person, error made in measuring a physical quantity, and so on. Okay, so without making any delay, I will be first defining the normal random variable. Okay, and then we'll try to give you the picture what that De Morby has taken, and then he has motivated, and he has given his idea, and later on which was acceptable and has been accepted as a very good approximation. Okay, right. So you have here, so a random variable x is said to be normally distributed with parameters. So there are two parameters are required in normal random variables, mean and variance. Like you have in the binomial random variable, you have number of independent trial and probability of success in each trial. Okay, so we have two parameters, and we write x follows this n mu comma sigma square. N stands for the normal distribution. If its PDF for probability density function is given by this here. Okay, so this is on the entire length interval or entire interval on the x-axis. Okay, so these are nothing but, so when you take sigma equals to 1 with the standard, you will say variance is 1 and mu is 0. Okay, that is, you know, what is that? 1 by square root of 2 pi e to the power minus x square by 2. Okay, right. So that we will look at the more application about it. Okay, so all these coefficients, this coefficient is 1 by square root of 2 pi sigma is due to that normality condition. Okay, that normality condition, that integration over minus infinity to infinity fx of x dx is 1. Okay, that will come. Okay, right. And there is a challenge always when you talk about means a distribution function, means like area under this curve. Okay, because this in this expression e to the power minus 1 by 2 times this square term, or as simple as minus x square by 2. Okay, it is not analytically solvable. So you definitely require some of the approximated rules or numerical methods, okay, to approximate that area. Fortunately, you will be having a table, okay, that is called normal table, and where these some of the few of the values which are necessary to mention, that is mentioned up to some extent. Okay, that will also be provided in means during quiz if it is required. Okay, or we will mention separately what will be the possible values. Okay, right. So this is always challengeable, that to show that this is equals to integration of minus 1 minus infinity to infinity, this fx of x dx is 1. Okay, that is going to use the gamma function. Okay, and you're going to use the gamma half value is root pi. Okay, so that is using so that you can verify. Okay, I'm leaving that as an exercise to you, that to show that integration minus infinity to infinity fx of x dx is 1. Okay, that's very simple by using the gamma function. Okay, so that you keep in mind. Here I have given you hint that what you have to use. Okay, now, and we are going to show at least that mu is nothing but the mean and sigma square is nothing but the variance of this random variable, that we are going to show here. Okay, that will be also seen right now. So this is a picture what I have you can say copied from the book, as I'm telling you. So it's having it's a probability mass function of a binomial random variable. Okay, and it's increasing the number of trials. So it is 10 to 20 now, then 20 to then had 30, and then it is 50. Okay, so you can see that's a more likely here. That's fine. This, if you fit the curve along this, it's like something like some negatively skewed, or you can say, or okay, and something like now this is here. For when you increase this here, we will come into that also, but when we say it's negatively skewed or positively skewed, maybe Professor Gagan may give you more glimpse over it. Okay, so you have another fit curve. So let's see, when you increase the number of trials, you have this means like a spread of the values is less, right? Okay, right. So you have the more smooth curve now in the 50 case. Okay, if you go increasing more, you will get more smoother curve when you fit it into the curve. Okay, means there are various fitting techniques are available. We can use least square approximation and so on. So many things are there. Okay, right. So now we can certainly show that for the given this suppose this x follows the normal distribution, okay, with these two parameters mu and sigma square. Okay, and show that this mean is mu and variance is sigma square, so that we are in position now. Okay, to show, see, I have to recall what is the density here is nothing but fx of x is equals to, so you have to memorize this. Okay, if it is means coming into some theoretical problem, but you are fortunate enough when you are when you are dealing with models, so you are not supposed to do any stepwise, but definitely you will have some problem in tutorial solution. Okay, so this is going to be exponential of minus 1 by 2 times x minus mu by sigma whole scale, and you have minus infinity less than x less than infinity. I'm just rewriting the density function for normal distribution. Now see, the here argument is involving x minus mu. So instead of finding expectation of x, I'm going to talk about expectation of x. Okay, so if I say expectation of x minus mu is 0, then I will use the linear property and I can prove immediately that expectation of x is mu only. Okay, right. So to do so, what you can do is, I have now expectation of x minus mu. What is the definition? Is going to be minus infinity to infinity x minus mu time fx of x dx. So it is 1 by square root of 2 pi sigma time exponential of minus 1 by 2 x minus mu by sigma whole square. Yes. If you don't go with it, you have x times this, then you have to replace x by x minus mu plus mu, and you have to separately do all the things. Okay, so either way is fine. Now what I can do is I will substitute y equals to x minus mu by sigma. Okay, because it is critical argument here, so I just want to replace it by this. So this certainly implies dy equals to dx by sigma. So this sigma can be erased here, dx by sigma, that it can be replaced by dy, and that is replaced by y square. So x minus mu is replaced by sigma y, and limits When x tends to infinity, y tends to infinity, because mu and sigma, what we are assuming here is, see, in the definition, it's very clear that sigma is greater than 0. Okay, we are talking about sigma greater than 0. Okay, we are talking about sigma greater than 0. So this is going to be thus. So when mu and sigma are fixed, okay, so fixed numbers, as x tends to infinity, y is infinity. As x tends to minus infinity, y is also tending to minus infinity. So what is expectation of x minus mu in this case? It's going to be 1 upon square root of 2 pi integration minus infinity to infinity. So x minus mu is sigma y time exponential of minus y square by 2 dy, because dx by sigma is dy. So sigma I can take it out. So that's going to be sigma by square root of 2 pi integration minus infinity to infinity y time e to the power minus y square by 2 dy. Now you know how to solve this integral. You can replace y square by 2 is equal to z. Okay, like you can use substitution, right? Y square by 2 is equals to z. Okay, so 2y dy is dz. So from this, from here, dy is equals to, so y dy equals to dz. Okay, now see this integral, how will you evaluate? See, this integral, if you talk about in the definite part, so suppose instead of minus infinity to infinity, it is minus a2 plus a. Okay, so in that case, it's an odd function. Okay, and this integrand is defined at every value. So by definite integral property, that value is 0. But that minus infinity and infinity, you don't know what is that large value. So what you can do is you can subdivide this interval. You can use the definition of improper integral of mixed type. Okay, and break this integral between minus infinity to 0 and 0 to infinity, and take the in the limiting sense. Okay, so that you do and show that that is equals to 0. Okay, also will going to be 0. Okay, you can't use means like directly here. Okay, so you have to use the improper integral property of mixed type. Okay, so this will tell you that expectation of x minus mu is 0, and that will tell you expectation of x is mu. Okay, now for doing variation. Okay, so I'm going to write some few steps here. Okay, so I am interested in finding variance of x. So what is that? By definition, it's going to be expectation of x minus mu whole square. So it is nice to be with it instead of going for expectation of x square minus mean whole square, because x minus mu we want. Okay, because we have the argument in exponential function. So that's going to be 1 upon square root of 2 pi sigma integration minus infinity to plus infinity x minus mu whole square time exponential of minus 1 by 2 x minus mu by sigma whole square dx. Now again you will use the substitution method in the same fashion. So what you will obtain is I'm writing sigma square by square root of 2 pi, sigma square by square root of 2 pi integration minus infinity to infinity y square time e to the power minus y square by 2 dy. Now you have to use here rule. Okay, you have to use here product rule, and the fact that this integration minus infinity to infinity e power minus y square by 2 times 1 y square root of 2 pi is 1. Okay, so you have to use here product rule. So what is the product rule is, if I want to say y square time e to the power minus y square by 2 dy is equals to, is you can write is as y into y square. So y into y. Okay, so So what you can do is, see, e to the power minus y square by 2 times y. Okay, so you can solve the integration of this. Okay, you can solve the integral of this. Okay, so the integral of this is nothing but e to the power minus y square by 2 with minus sign. Okay, so what you will have is minus y times e to the power minus y square by 2. Okay, then plus integration, you have, this is going to be y derivative. Okay, that is going to be e to the power minus y square by 2 d. Then you apply the limit here. Okay, right. So now see, you can replace y square by y into y, and you can arrange this one y with this and then apply the product rule. And then at the end you apply the limit. Okay, and then you can verify that that's going to be sigma. Okay, so you are going to use 1 by square root of 2 pi. If you recall, if you have sigma equals to 0, sigma equals to 1 and mu equals to 0, then you can certainly show 1 by square root of 2 pi integration minus infinity to infinity e to the power minus x square by 2 dx is 1. You can use that fact here. Again, this is an application of gamma function. So here, I think this I can left as an exercise for you. That again, okay, that product rule. And again, I suggest you that you are going to use when you are writing the scribe one. Okay, you are supposed to use the complete improper integral property. Okay, and then solve. Okay, right. Now the very important result. Okay, that if you have a random variable x which follows the normal distribution, okay, then it's linear combination. Okay, means a plus bx will also follow the normal. Okay, if you multiply by a constant, so that's what means so this, if this result is true, so this will immediately tells you the following. Okay, so let x is normal, let x be normal, then bx will also be normal, for whenever b is non-zero here. Okay, we are taking b is a non-zero. So x be a normal random variable, then b scalar multiple of a normal random variable will also be a normal. Okay, and another, if you take b equals to 1, the shifting, okay, by a constant. Okay, so let x be normal. Okay, then its shifting by x plus a will also be a normal. Okay, will also be a normal. So it is very natural. So if you see, if b is lies between 0 less than b less than 1, so then it's shrinking the curve. Okay, it's making smaller. Okay, and if b is greater than 1, it's going to make it large. Okay, similarly, if x plus a means shifting. So earlier that means it will allow you to see this bell-shaped curve. If you look at the bell-shaped curve for this normal random variable, okay, this n with mu and sigma square, okay, that you can see that it's going to be symmetric about the mean. Okay, because at x equals to, okay, if it's equals to mu, so what will happen at x equals to mu? Okay, what will happen at x equals to mu? Then at x equals to mu, you have this e to the power 0, that is 1, and it will remain constant, 1 by square root of 2 pi sigma. Okay, So, and if you take sigma equals to 1, this is standard normal variate. So that we are going to come into the picture just now within a few minutes. Okay. So it's going to be symmetric about the mean x equals to mu. Okay. So it allows you, so this result that when you mean then shifting will also will remain as a normal random variables, means you can shift the mean to the 0, means like y-axis, y equals to 0, you can take as a symmetric curve and then it is easy to handle. Okay, rather moving here and there. So if you look at this picture again, so then if you have this bell-shaped curve, okay, here this bell-shaped curve, you can shift it to this side, means with about the mean. So this line, let's say this is mean, so this line mean you can shift it to the y-axis, and you can look at the bell-shaped curve about the about the x-axis where mean is 0. Okay, so that will also give you the good means like that behavior of this bell-shaped curve. Okay, so let's try to show this linear combination of normal and the variable is normal. Okay, so calculating the mean and variance is very straightforward. So I can say this is exercise number 1. This is exercise number 2, exercise number 3. So 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 will be the corollary of this exercise. Okay, right. So now, so let's say I am going to deal with the first one. So x follows normal distribution with mean and sigma square. Okay, let y is equals to a plus bx and b is not 0. Okay, now what is the expectation? That is very simple. That's going to be a plus b times expectation of x. So this is going to be a plus b times mu. What is variance of this random variable y is nothing but variance of a plus bx, and which you have already shown, that's going to be b square times variance of x, that is going to be b square times sigma square. So whatever the random variable y is, okay, that it is going to have the mean is a plus b mu and variance is b square sigma. Okay, now certainly what you can do is you can also look for the moment generating function. You can take the help of moment generating function. So here I am trying to take the help of cumulative distribution function. Okay, so I am trying to find the cumulative distribution function for the random variable y and will relate it with x and try to identify the corresponding density function. Okay, so now I will try to identify what is the distribution function of y. That's going to be probability of y less than equals to y. So that's going to be probability of what is y is a plus bx less than equals to y. So this is equals to, there are two cases. So b is non-zero, only no. So b may be negative, b may be positive. So if b is negative, that is going to be probability of if b is let's say positive, is going to be x less than equals to y minus a divided by b. So if b is greater than 0, and it is equals to probability of x greater than equals to y minus a by b if b is negative. So there are two cases. Okay, right. So now this I can write in terms of now distribution of x now very clearly. So this implies fy of y is equals to, so there are two cases. So fx of y minus a by b if b is greater than 0. Okay, and another is 1 minus fx of y minus a by b if b is less than 0. Okay, so now this implies I can straightforward find out the density function by differentiating So with respect to y, so what I will get is fy of y is equals to, now for the first case, if b is greater than 0, what is the derivative? Chain rule you have to apply. So that's going to be fx y minus a by b times 1 by b if b greater than 0. Okay, and another is minus 1 by b fx of y minus a by b if b is less than 0. So I can combine these two both, because this fx of y minus a by b or fx of y minus a by b, both are the same thing, only 1 by b and minus 1 by b is here. Okay, so I can write it as 1 upon, let's say, mod b time fx of y minus a by b. So both cases will be included here. Okay, so this is the density function for random variable y. Now you write the definition of density function for random variable x, and then what we will observe is the following. So this implies fy of y is equals to, so 1 upon mod b is already there, and fx is 1 upon square root of 2 pi sigma time mod b exponential of minus 1 by 2. So what was there? X minus mu by sigma, by x minus mu by sigma. So what is x is y minus a by b. So you have, this is y minus a by b minus mu divided by sigma. So you have to place x by y minus a by b. Okay, so that's going to be 1 upon square root of 2 pi sigma mod b exponential of, so this square is there, minus 1 by 2 sigma square. So if I rewrite everything, what is there is y minus a minus b mu divided by b, that is squared. So that's going to be 1 upon square root of 2 pi sigma mod b exponential of minus 1 upon 2 sigma square b square time y minus a minus b mu, y minus a minus b mu whole square. Now if you look at it carefully, so it is nothing but one, if I take this instead of this, I can take it inside here, sigma time b whole square. So if you relate, so if you replace y by x, so y you can treat as some dummy variable. Okay, so this certainly tells you that the density function for normal distribution for the mean y minus a plus b mu, comma, now since this mod b square or b square, both are the same thing. Okay, both are the same thing, sigma mod b square or mod b. Okay, either you write sigma time b or you write sigma time mod b, because you are going to square them. Okay, so both are the same thing. So that's going to be sigma time mod b whole square. That's the variance is this. So what is this? Is nothing but normal of a plus b mu, comma, sigma square b square. So this again will follow the linear combination. Okay, or linear function in x will also follow the normal distribution. Okay, so now once we know this, for any constant a and b, if x is follows the normal distribution, then a plus bx will also follow the normal distribution provided b is non-zero. Okay, so then now we are in position to define the standard normal variate now. Okay, which will assume the mean is 0 and standard deviation is 1, or variance is 1, you can say. Okay, right. So here's the definition. Now you can take a is equals to, you can take here a equals to, so a equals to here minus mu by sigma, and what is B is equals to 1 by sigma. If you replace A equals to minus mu by sigma and B equals to 1 by sigma, then this Z will also follows the normal distribution. What will be the mean and variance that you can calculate? Okay, so that can be shown. That's going to follow the normal distribution with mean 0 and standard deviation or variance is 1. And we will call Z as a standard normal variate, and its CDF we are going to define or denote it by this capital phi function that you will see, Pz, and which has the certain properties, means symmetric properties and all. Okay, so that we are going to look at now. Okay, so it's very straightforward now that this Z, when you identify by x minus mu by sigma, where x follows the normal distribution, Z will follow the standard normal distribution, and we will call it Z as a standard normal variate. Okay, right. So you have the following density function P of Z. So you are replacing sigma by 1. So sigma is 1 and mu is 0. Okay, so you have the following cumulative distribution function for the standard normal variate. Now this can be shown. That's very simple. What is phi of minus Z? If I try to write what is phi of minus Z, so that's going to be integration 1 upon square root of 2 pi integration minus infinity to minus Z e to the power minus y square by 2 dy. Okay, and you know that what is means like I can write this as, okay, I can write this as you have, this is 1 upon square root of 2 pi integration minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power minus y square by 2 dy minus integration Z e to the power minus y square by 2 dy. So what it is, this is going to be, so see what this symmetric means property is showing you. This is, and these are equal means what? So this is equals to what? So if you remove this from minus infinity to infinity and minus infinity to Z, so what is remaining is 1 upon square root of 2 pi integration Z to infinity e to the power minus y square by 2 dy. Okay, so let me I think I have a graph for this. Okay, here. So this is here. This is standard normal variate. So this will be the mean. Mean will be this line. Okay. Now probability of Z less than minus Z. So that is nothing but phi of minus Z. Okay. So what is probability of Z greater than Z? That is going to be 1 minus phi of Z. Okay, so that you can understand from the graph that, see, if you take this x equals to minus Z line and x equals to Z line. Okay, since this bell-shaped curve is symmetric about this y-axis with respect to the about the line y-axis. Okay, so the area cover after this x equals to Z and before x equals to minus Z will be the same. So means these things are similar. So phi of minus Z is nothing but probability of Z less than equals to minus Z. This is same as probability of Z greater than Z due to the symmetry of this, the bell-shaped curve. Okay, the area. So from after this, means after the y this line y-axis, the area is half and this side is also half. Okay, so this is going to be what? This is going to be 1 minus P of Z. And what I have done in this 2 interval is I have this is means over the entire interval and minus over this interval. What will be remaining is from Z to infinity. Okay, so I have minus these 2 events. Okay, so I have one event is minus infinity less than x less than Z less than infinity minus infinity less than Z less than Z. So if I do minus these two sets, what will be remaining is nothing but minus infinity less than Z. No, so less than infinity, and you are remaining up to this. So it's going to be Z less than infinity. So you are going to remain with this Z. And if you look at the bell-shaped curve, it is which is symmetric about the line y-axis. Okay, so it is clear that the area before minus x equals to minus z and after x equals to z, both are the same. Okay, so that will be using the symmetry. So due to this, phi p of minus z is 1 minus p of z. Okay, right. Now another thing is, another important property is, so we are going to use these things. So probability of x less than 1 to, so I have x follows normal distribution with mean, mu and sigma square. I want to use the standard normal variate. Okay, so I can do, so is equal to probability of x minus mu by sigma less than b minus mu by sigma. So that is going to be probability of z less than b minus mu by sigma, and that is going to be p of b minus mu by sigma. So why we are doing this conversion? Because we have the values of these approximated values in the standard normal table. Okay, so that we are going to look at in the next class. Okay, and where we will see how to use this table for the particular. Okay, thank you.